Welcome to the Maria Liberati Show, where food meets art, travel, and life. So what does food mean to you? Join me in today's segment as I welcome my special guest, Beth Castodale. Beth is an author and the editor of smallpresspicks.com. Beth is here also because February, while most of you know it's February 14th is coming up and it's Valentine's Day, but it is also February is the month of, it's actually National Library Lovers Month, and February 14th is also Library Lovers Day, and she's here to help us pick some books to catch up on our reading for the winter. If you're like most of us on the East Coast, or really almost anywhere, I think, in the US and around the world, if you're experiencing the winter. Not everybody's experiencing winter in my listening audience, but if you are and you want to use that time to catch up on your reading, Beth has some great selections for us from smallpresspicks.com to catch up on our reading this winter. And also, I'll be sharing some info with you on a holiday that the ancient Romans used to celebrate in February called Terminalia. And I'll be sharing a recipe for a sorbetto cocktail. Now, I know it's kind of cold. Not everybody wants to think of sorbetto, but it's kind of a fun cocktail. It's also healthy for you. It is non-alcoholic also. And hey, it's a great way to, you can sip this sorbetto cocktail and catch up on your reading with one of the books Beth is going to share with us. So stay tuned, but I just want to mention, don't forget, February 11th, I will be doing a virtual Neapolitan pizza making class with Rocco from Rocco's Dough. He's in Miami, Florida, but we will be doing this virtual class online on Zoom. Registration is limited. There are a few more spots left, so please, register as soon as possible since registration is limited. We will also be picking 2 of the registrants to get a digital copy of my book, The Basic Art of Pizza. And you can also find The Basic Art of Pizza online at my website, marialiberati.com, but 2 of the registrants will get a digital copy. And I also want to announce on February 12th, I will be doing a virtual Valentine's Day themed event for the Stratford Public Library in Stratford, New Jersey, but it will be a virtual event. So even though I'm kind of sad I'm not going to get to see all my friends there at the Stratford Library live, I am going to see them on Zoom, and this event will be on Zoom. I will be making a strawberry risotto. It's got a Valentine's Day theme to it. So I'll be making that, and we'll be talking about my new book that's coming out this spring or early summer. We'll be talking about that, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking Diaries. If you'd like to join also the virtual class at the Stratford Public Library, you can go on the website for the Stratford Public Library in Stratford, New Jersey, or you can also email us at info@marialiberati.com, or just sign up for my newsletter at marialiberati.com, and we'll be sending out the links for the pizza class and for the Stratford Public Library virtual class. The pizza making class is on eventbrite.com, and you can register there, so please sign up. I'd love to see you then. So please join, and please stay tuned for our special episode today. So once upon a time in ancient Rome, Terminalia was celebrated on February 23rd to honor the god Terminus. And according to ancient Roman mythology, Terminus was the ancient god who protected boundaries, and the feast was celebrated by landowners. Terminalia was the feast created in his honor. So here is my recipe for a sorbetto cocktail influenced by the ancient Romans to celebrate this holiday. It's a healthy, non-alcoholic cocktail, but I've added a touch of sage in honor of the Romans who introduced this herb as a medicinal plant to Europe from Egypt. It was also known to have been touted as an overall tonic. Here's my recipe for an orange and sage sorbetto, and you can enjoy this sorbetto while catching up on your reading. 4 cups of spring water, 1.5 cups of sugar, the filtered juice of 2 fresh oranges, the skin of 1 organic orange and some extra for garnish, 5 sage leaves. In a saucepan, place water, sugar, and orange peel. Boil for 20 minutes until the sugar is completely dissolved. Place the orange juice and sage leaves in another saucepan and heat for 5 minutes over medium-low heat to reduce the juice. Add in the sugar mixture and stir over low heat for 2 minutes. Remove from heat. Let cool. Then filter the liquid, removing sage leaves and orange peel. Place the liquid in a tight container, cover and freeze. When frozen, place in the food processor till kind of slushy. Then refreeze it in a covered container. And make sure you take the container out of the freezer about 5 minutes before you're ready to serve it. Serve in chilled fluted glasses decorated with orange peel and sage leaves. Serve and chin chin to Terminalia. Hi, and today we have as a special guest author and editor of Small Press Picks, Beth Castodale, and Beth is joining us. You know, winter is always a time that many of us get snowed in, and it's always a great time to catch up on your reading. So I thought Beth could help us in picking some, choice books to spend some time with. Beth, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's a real pleasure.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here. And Beth, so tell us, I know you just told me that you have a book that came out in August.
I did, yes. It's called I Mean You No Harm, and it's a work of suspense, and it kind of brings together 2 estranged half-sisters who come together at the wake of their father, who happened to be a career criminal, and they've been estranged for all these years, but they reconnect at his funeral, and they end up going on a road trip that puts them in the middle of a kind of an unsettled and very dangerous score between their father and a man who knows more than he should about one of the protagonists' situation in her life. So it's kind of a road trip adventure story. Wow. Mystery kind of thing. So.
Yeah, that sounds like something great to keep your interest up. Road trips are great. So I was looking at all your books, and it looks like you have so many different themes and things like that in your books. How do you get the inspiration for your, what you write about? It looks like it's such a variety of themes.
Oh, yeah. Well, thanks for mentioning that. I mean, it's funny. The inspirations come from all kinds of places. My latest book, I Mean You No Harm, several years ago, I was reading The Guardian, and there was an essay by a woman who discovered as a child that her father was a member of the mob. And it really turned her world upside down. And she was trying to reconcile his roles as a father and a criminal. And that story just haunted me. And I thought, why not try to write from the perspective of such a daughter? Like, you didn't ask for that kind of parenthood, but you're thrown into it. And how does it affect your life?
Exactly.
And that's where that came from. And then my debut novel called Marion Hatley, it's about a Depression era seamstress who gets into all kinds of scrapes. And she was actually my maternal grandmother was the inspiration for that, because my she helped work the family farm in the Depression, and she wore this. All the women of the era tended to wear these really uncomfortable lace-up corsets. And I thought, what a torture! So I thought I'd have the protagonist of the novel create this incredibly inventive, comfortable corset. So, and among other things that she does, and so that was another example, kind of just how ideas come from all these different places. I had a novel who the main character is a rock star turned gravedigger, and I just have always loved cemeteries. So I thought, why not put people in his shoes and follow him on his adventure. So.
Wow. So it sounds like you use your life experiences in some way to create, and I love it that there's such a variety, because most people, authors tend to write kind of almost on the same topic all the time. So it was so interesting that you have such a variety. So I know you're also the editor of Small Press Pick. So how did that come about? How did you get involved in that?
Yeah, well, I'll just say it kind of came about, I just feel like we're just sort of in a golden age of small presses, and they're putting out so many wonderful works of fiction, which is my area of interest. And through my reviews on the Small Press Picks website, I'm trying to call attention to what I see as some of the finest books that these publishers are putting out, and just books that I'd really hate others to miss out on. So that's how it started. And I just, I started reaching out to presses for, small presses for books that looked interesting to me. And then over time, word of mouth, publishers heard about me and they started sending me, I get more books than I can take on, unfortunately.
I can just imagine. I can imagine. But what a nice thing, it's always good to have more books than you can use. I think, actually, I'm not sure. No, I shouldn't say that. But so tell us about, I just mentioned, I know summertime is usually a good time. People like to catch up on reading if they go on vacation. But I always think of wintertime also, because you can't always go out. A lot of people are snowed in, or even if it's just cold and you just want to stay home, the weather's not cooperating. You really don't need a reason to read. I love to read books, especially the hard copy books. But tell us, are there any picks you can recommend, or that are recommended on Small Press Picks?
Yeah. I'll actually I'll start with a couple of recent books that I've really enjoyed. I review a lot of novels, but I actually review a lot of story collections. And two recent story collections I really like. I just finished and reviewed one called Shape Shifting by Michelle Ross. And the book looks largely at myths around motherhood, kind of the Victorian myth that it's all roses and sunshine and there's never love flows without, cease between mother and child and back again. And it kind of idealizes motherhood in a way that's really not fair to moms and really doesn't look at how hard the job is and all of the pressure that our culture puts on mothers to be perfect and the guilt that is heaped upon mothers. And the stories really take this apart in a really brilliant way. Sometimes they go to darker places. Like sometimes, children are, they become someone who I don't want to say like necessarily your enemy, but sometimes you're like, gosh, is this kid my own? Like we don't, you just feel that alien sense sometimes. And just sort of those the societal pressures that come with against mothers too. And it's just a really there's some really funny stories too. Like she just kind of looks at that from all different angles.
Oh, that sounds interesting. And what's the name of that book again?
It's called Shape Shifting by Michelle Ross.
Okay, that sounds like a great pick. That sounds very interesting. And anything else?
Yeah, actually, another book that I'll recommend, there's an author named Wendy J. Fox, and her latest story collection is What If We Were Somewhere Else? And it's a really moving and perceptive collection of linked stories about characters who are at really unsettled and uncertain times of their life. And it's all kinds of perspectives and characters, but it's something that I really identified with, I just feel like anyone could probably find themselves somewhere in those stories. Like who among us hasn't been in that type of situation? And
Yes.
actually, I've reviewed a few other of Wendy's books. Just Google her, Wendy J. Fox. She just, her books are just phenomenal. Novels, short story collections. She's great.
Oh, that sounds great. That sounds like a really interesting read. And I guess is there one other you can tell us about?
Yeah, I've actually I reviewed some crime and suspense, and there's an author, Nick Holakowski, who his latest book, Love and Bullet, it's called Love and Bullets Mega Bomb Edition, and it puts together novels that he'd written before into a cohesive whole. And it's kind of about two criminals who want to get out of the business of crime after all these years, and they get into all kinds of scrapes. It sounds really dark, but it's actually really funny. And I feel like no one writes an action sequence better than Nick. I mean, it's just really fun. It keeps you on the edge of your seat. You don't know how these characters are going to get out of these different scrapes. And it's really, there's something cinematic about his writing and really fun. So,
wow, that sounds great. I love the picks because they sound, when I read a book or even watch a film, I like things that there's some kind of suspense or something that's going to keep you there, keep you reading. And so all three of those books definitely sound like a book that will keep you there and keep you going throughout the whole book.
I wonder if I could just mention one other book.
Yes, definitely.
I just adored, I read A Coin for the Ferryman. It's upcoming, A Coin for the Ferryman, and it's about basically the return of Julius Caesar to our times through time travel.
Oh, wow.
And I could go on and on about the ins and outs of the story, but he ends up going to Caesar's palace in Las Vegas, of all places.
Oh my God.
But it's such a great tale because it weaves together time travel and also the story of this young woman who happens to she speaks fluent Latin. And so she gets brought into this to kind of communicate with Caesar. And it's got history going for it, suspense. I highly recommend it.
That sounds so interesting. I've often wondered that type of thing, what if those type of people come back and see Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas or something like that. So that sounds really, really, really interesting. Very, very interesting. So if anyone also wants to find more picks from small presses, and I love reading books from small presses. Actually, my books are published by small press too, because I think they're more, I just always love them. They're a little bit more unique, usually characteristic sometimes, things like that. So, but if anybody wants to find more picks, where do they go to? Is it just smallpresspicks.com?
You got it. That's it. Yeah.
Smallpresspicks.com. And Beth, what's the name of your latest novel so we can look that up, and your website?
Oh, sure. So the book is called I Mean You No Harm. And I have a website at bethcastodale.com.
That's it. Great. Thank you so much. Thanks so much for being here. And I'm sure we'll all take a look at that and to find more picks to read. Thanks again, Beth. And hopefully maybe we'll bring you back in the near future. It sounds like I'm sure you have another book in the works.
I do indeed. I would love that.
Yeah, just let us know. We'll have you on again. Thanks again, Beth. Take care.
Thank you, Maria. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Maria Liberati Show, and thanks for joining us. And special thanks to my producer, Britton Roselle, and today's special guest, Beth Castodale. And please join me for our virtual Neapolitan pizza making class with Rocco from Rocco's Dough of Miami, Florida. You can sign up. The class is free, but registration is limited. And we are giving away 2 digital copies of my book, The Basic Art of Pizza, to 2 registrants. And you can join the class on eventbrite.com. The event is actually titled Love at First Bite because it's around Valentine's Day, and it's themed for Valentine's Day. Who knows? Maybe Rocco will make a pizza in the shape of a heart. I also am doing another virtual event, and it's a free event. It's got a Valentine's Day theme to it. I will be making risotto with strawberries. It's a Valentine's Day dish, you know, red risotto, strawberries. It's really yummy. And I'll be doing that in my Zoom event, my virtual event for the Stratford Library. The Stratford Library is in Stratford, New Jersey. It's a wonderful library. But we are doing this event now in a virtual Zoom room, so you can join the class. Again, registration is limited. This event at the Stratford Library will be on February 12th at 2 p.m. And just go to the Stratford Library's website in Stratford, New Jersey, and you should find a link there to join that. The pizza making class, again, with Rocco, I'll be doing that on February 11th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you could go to eventbrite.com, or you can send me an email at info@marialiberati.com, or you can just sign up for my newsletter at marialiberati.com, and we're going to be sending the links out shortly if you sign up for the newsletter. So either way, I'd love to see you at any of the events. It's so nice to be able to see everyone's faces, even though we're not doing the events live. And as always, you can find my book series, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, marialiberati.com, or artoflivingprimamedia.com. You can find me on Twitter at Maria Liberati. You can find me on Facebook at Chef Maria Liberati. You can find me on Pinterest at Maria Liberati. Let's see, you can find me on LinkedIn at M Liberati, on Instagram at Maria Liberati, and my Roku channel is The Basic Art of Italian Cooking by Maria Liberati. Until next time, peace, love, and pasta.